Do you believe in ghosts? Well, I must say that I myself didn't believe in them once, but now I do. Because you see, it was definitely a ghost which caused the great change in the life of my employer, Mr. Ebenezer Scrooge. Oh, but forgive me. Let me introduce myself. My name is Bob Cratchit, and I'm a clerk for the business firm of Scrooge and Marley. The tale of Mr. Scrooge and the ghost began 3 years ago on Christmas Eve of the year of our Lord, 1843. I was already working then for the company of Scrooge and Marley. And that, you see, is how I know that it was Marley's ghost and not Mr. Marley who came to haunt Scrooge. Marley was Scrooge's old partner and had been dead for 7 years. At that time, like most people who knew Mr. Scrooge, I would have said that he deserved to be haunted. Scrooge was a cruel, squeezing, wrenching, grasping, clutching, greedy old miser and sinner. Nobody ever passed him in the street and gave him a friendly greeting. No beggar ever asked him for a penny. No child ever asked him the time of day. No woman who was lost would ask him the direction when she had seen that crabbed and frozen face of his. But then, once upon a time, of all the good days of the year on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy in his counting house. I sat near him at my desk doing the accounts. It was cold, biting weather, and the room was freezing. I moved toward the stove to put a few coals on the meager fire which Scrooge allowed to burn each day during the winter.
Cratchit! Just what do you think you're doing?
Building the fire up a bit, Mr. Scrooge. My hands are so blue with the chill that I can barely hold my pen. It's so damp outside that you can see the fog creeping in at the keyhole.
We have already used 2 shovels of coal today. That's extravagant. Can't you learn to warm your fingers at your candle? If you make one more trip to that coal scuttle today, Cratchit, you can forget that you work for Scrooge and Marley.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Cratchit, you're daydreaming. See who's at the door.
Yes, sir. It's your nephew, Mr. Scrooge.
Good afternoon, Cratchit, and a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, sir.
And a Merry Christmas to you, Uncle Ebenezer.
Christmas. Bah, humbug.
Christmas a humbug, Uncle? You don't mean that, I'm sure.
I do. Merry Christmas. What reason do you have to be merry? You're poor enough.
Oh, come now, Uncle. What reason do you have to be so dismal? You're rich enough.
Ah, humbug.
Don't be cross, Uncle.
Cross? The devil take Merry Christmas. What is Christmas but a time for paying bills without money? A time of finding yourself a year older, but not an hour richer. Fools, I tell you. If I had my way, every idiot who goes around with Merry Christmas on his lips would be boiled with his own Christmas pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. Christmas? Humbug.
Uncle.
Nephew, keep Christmas in your own way. Let me keep it in mine.
But you don't keep it.
Leave it alone, then. Much good Christmas has ever done you.
Well, there are, I dare say, many things from which I derive good. Christmas among them. Christmas has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, but I believe it has done me good and will do me good. So I say, God bless it.
And I say God bless it too, sir. And you too for feeling that way.
Cratchit, let me hear another word like that from you, and you'll celebrate Christmas by losing your position. There, nephew. Mr. Cratchit. One more idiot like you. My clerk earns all of 15 shillings a week, and he has a wife and family to support. And he talks of Merry Christmas.
Come now. Will you take Christmas dinner with my wife and me tomorrow at my home?
Christmas dinner? You are an idiot. I think I shall bid you a good afternoon.
But, Uncle Ebenezer, you've never met my wife.
And why should I? Good afternoon, nephew.
I'm sorry you feel that way, Uncle. But before I do say that good afternoon, please, I have a request. My wife and I have been soliciting funds to supply the poor and needy with a few necessities this Christmas.
I knew you came here with some motive other than just to see me. Good afternoon.
But the poor, especially at Christmas...
The poor? Are there no poor houses in operation?
Why, yes, Uncle, there are. And in the case of most of them, I wish there were not. There are some people who would rather die than enter a poorhouse.
If they would rather die, let them do it and decrease the surplus population. I don't make myself merry at Christmas, and I can't afford to make idle people merry at Christmas or any other time of the year. I will not allow Christmas to be made a time in which sentimental nincompoops can pick my pocket. Cratchit, show my nephew to the door.
Sir?
Thank you, Mr. Cratchit. It's all right. I'm coming. Good afternoon, Uncle. I'm sorry you feel as you do. But Merry Christmas anyway.
Merry humbug! Cratchit, close the door!
Merry Christmas, sir, and to your wife.
Merry Christmas, Cratchit, to you and yours.
Cratchit, the door! Idiots, all of you. Christmas humbug.
Oh, listen, Mr. Scrooge. Carolers singing outside. They're out early this Christmas Eve.
More humbug. Cratchit, you, I suppose, will want all day off from work tomorrow?
Well, yes, sir, if that's convenient.
It most definitely is not convenient.
But it's the custom for Christmas, sir.
Yes, a custom, and one that's unfair. What if I didn't pay you for the day? You'd think yourself ill-used, wouldn't you, Cratchit? But you don't think me ill-used, do you, when I have to pay you a day's wages for no work?
But it's only one day a year, sir. And it's a very special day.
And as I told my nephew, it's a day that people use as an excuse to pick a man's pocket. But I suppose you must have it. I'm leaving, Cratchit. Lock up the office carefully. You may have your Christmas holiday with pay, but mark you, be here that much earlier day after tomorrow to make up for it.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Scrooge, and Merry Christmas.
Merry humbug. Good night.
Old Mr. Scrooge went off into the chill evening to have a melancholy dinner at his usual melancholy restaurant, and then hurried through the foggy streets toward his home and his bed. The streets did not seem as bleak to others as to him. Groups of carolers stood at nearly every corner, celebrating with song the glorious eve of Christmas. People laden with gay packages bustled about from shop to shop, buying presents. Laughing children pelted each other with snowballs and filled the slopes of the parks with sleds. But Scrooge saw and felt only the fog and the frost. When he reached his home, it seemed so dark at his door that while he knew each stone of the street, he had to grope to find his way to it. Then, as he bent close to put his key in the lock, there, gleaming in the knocker on the door, shining in the metal surface, he saw the thing. He saw the face of Jacob Marley, his long-dead partner.
Oh, no! Marley! The face of Marley!
The face, ghostly and staring, did not seem angry or ferocious, just stonily still, and it had an unpleasantly death-like color. Scrooge gasped, but in that instant, the apparition disappeared. A tremor of fright passed over Scrooge, but now the thing was gone. He unlocked the door. Then he slipped inside and quickly bolted the door. Each night when he got home, it was Scrooge's habit to search the rooms in fear of thieves. But so frightened had he been by that ghostly face of Marley and the knocker on the door that he took extra care in the task that night. Slowly, he went through each room. No one under the sofa, no one under the bed, No one under the table. The closet there, empty. Those drapes by the window. No one hiding there. And then Scrooge began to undress for bed. He was now certain that he was alone. But the memory of that face in the door knocker still gripped him. And he said aloud to reassure himself,
A face? Marley's face. Well, Ebenezer Scrooge, you just remember that ghosts don't exist. It's probably just that you recall that Marley died exactly 7 years ago this very night on a Christmas Eve. Ghosts, humbug.
But old Mr. Scrooge had barely put on his nightshirt and his nightcap and got into bed when he heard the moaning begin. And then the rattling of chains began. And then slowly, strangely, there formed in the air before his eyes the shape of the very thing he had denied a moment ago could possibly exist. The shape of a ghost.
What do you want of me?
Much, Ebenezer Scrooge, much.
Who are you?
Ask me rather who I was.
Who were you then?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley, but I see that you do not believe in me. Why?
Because ghosts are a humbug. You could be a figment of my imagination, produced by a simple thing like indigestion. You might be an undigested piece of beef from my supper tonight, a blot of mustard, a crumb of cheese, a speck of underdone potato. There's more of greasy gravy than of the grave to you, whatever you are. Heavens, dreadful ghost, you do exist.
Then you do believe in me now, Ebenezer.
I do. But why do you walk the earth as a spirit, Marley? And why do you come to me?
It is required of every man that the spirit within him should walk forth among his fellow men. But if that spirit does not walk as the friend of others during his lifetime, then it is condemned to do so after his death.
You are bound in chains. Why?
I wear chains that I myself forged in my lifetime. I made them link by link, and I put them on of my own free will while still I lived. Do you not know the weight and the length of the strong chain that you've already made for yourself? The chain you will soon have to bear. It grows heavier each day, Ebenezer, and you shall wear it after death.
Marley. Oh, Jacob, tell me more. Give me comfort.
There is none to give. I cannot. Indeed, I am not permitted to tell you but a very little more. I must wander on soon in my endless journey, and all because I misuse the opportunities in life.
But Marley, you were always a good man of business.
Business? Mankind should have been my business. Charity, mercy, love, these should have been my business. Oh. Hear me, Ebenezer Scrooge. My time here is nearly gone. During this night you will be haunted by 3 spirits. Without their visits, you cannot hope to avoid wearing these chains I wear, nor avoid the path that I must tread. The first spirit will appear when the clock has struck the last stroke of midnight, giving birth to Christmas Day. But now I must leave.
Marley, you're disappearing. Wait, I have questions. Marley! He's gone. No, it wasn't so. You imagined it, Scrooge. You... Ah, it's humbug like all the rest. Humbug! But it already is midnight. You will be haunted by 3 spirits. Now we shall see. What? No. A thing like Marley warned me of just now. There is a ghost. Are you the spirit? The first spirit whose coming Marley told me of?
I am.
Who are you?
I am the ghost of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, Ebenezer Scrooge. Your past.
What brings you here?
Your welfare, Scrooge, or your salvation. Take heed of me for your own good. Come, take my hand. We must journey out there, through that window and through the skies of many nights.
Through the window? There's a drop of 20 feet. Through the skies? I'm mortal. I'll fall and die.
Oh, no. Just place your hand in mine and you shall be held up in more than just this. Your hand? Ah, good. Now, come along. Through the window and we shall sail through skies and back over years. And we shall go swiftly, swiftly.
Good heavens!
There. We travel now over miles and over time. And there below. What see you, Ebenezer Scrooge? Rolling hills and fields covered with snow? A frozen pond and tiny woods there to the left?
Yes, and a small village. Good Lord, it's the town where I was born and spent my childhood.
We land now, Ebenezer, and we walk along this road. Ah, but your lips are trembling, and on your cheek, a tear? You remember this road, don't you?
Remember it? I could walk it with a blindfold on.
Strange that you have forgotten it for so many years. Come along.
That house over there, and that gate, that huge oak, the church in the valley, those ponies trotting along with boys on their backs, that farmer in his doorway.
They are but the shadows of the things that have been. We see them, but they have no consciousness that we are here. It's Christmas Eve here, too, you know. Those people there, you knew them, Scrooge?
Oh, yes. That boy there. That's Ned, the one with the sled. And that one with the axe chopping the fir tree for Christmas. That's Jim. And that one...
Christmas. What was Merry Christmas for you then, Scrooge?
Christmas? It was... What good has Christmas ever done for me? Christmas humbug. It was...
Loneliness, Scrooge. The loneliness of that boy. There. Over there. The loneliness of that boy sitting alone at a desk in a deserted schoolhouse.
That boy? That... I am that boy.
Yes, Ebenezer Scrooge. And what is that boy, you, doing in his solitary loneliness?
Reading? Yes. I am reading. And look, just as they came then,
There in the schoolhouse room are the people from the books. Look, there's Ali Baba, all ready to set out to fool the 40 thieves. There's Aladdin, just ready to rub the lamp and make the magic genie appear. There's poor Robinson Crusoe, wandering alone on his desert island. Crusoe! Robinson Crusoe, where have you been these many years? Where? I wish. But it's too late now.
What do you wish, Scrooge?
Nothing. There were some carolers at my office door tonight. I should have given them a few pennies. That's all.
Take my hand, Scrooge. Let us see another Christmas. What see you now, Scrooge?
Oh, no. It is the house of Mr. Fezziwig, the man to whom I was apprenticed as a child. A kindly Welshman.
And it is another Christmas past. Listen as Mr. Fezziwig speaks.
Well, now, young Ebenezer Scrooge, look you at the clock. 'Tis time to put up the shutters. Clear way, lad, close up. 'Tis Christmas Eve, and this is the time for parties and dancing, eating and laughter. Come along, or both you and I shall be late to the party, and Mrs. Fezziwig will be all a-frowning that we're tardy.
I see it as if it were yesterday.
Yes. And you scurry about Mr. Fezziwig's offices, and you tidy up and put up the shutters in excited anticipation of the party for Christmas at Mr. Fezziwig's house. Then together, you and Mr. Fezziwig hurry along the frosty streets, and you arrive at the house, and you open the door, and you find that you are late. The party is already in progress.
There! Look! The little country band of fiddlers playing dance music. Guests laughing and dancing, and Mrs. Fezziwig over at the table. And the table groaning with food. Turkey and a roast of beef, a glazed ham, and steak and kidney pie. Fruit tarts, a bowl of punch, and there, a mince pie as only Mrs. Fezziwig could make. And a big wreath of holly, and suspended from the ceiling a sprig of mistletoe, and a girl, a little younger than myself, laughing shyly as a slightly older boy catches her beneath the mistletoe and shows off to all the guests by kissing her.
She was a delicate little girl, wasn't she? And had she a generous heart?
She had spirit. Indeed she had. God forbid I should say no.
And she grew to be a woman, though a cool breeze could have swept her away, she was so frail. I believe, though, that she had children before she passed on.
Children? No. She had but one child.
Your nephew, Scrooge?
Yes. Ah, but there's Mr. Fezziwig again. He's talking to that young boy who was I myself.
Over to the table, lad. You heap up another plate of food. Tomorrow's Christmas, and you can sleep late. And if you eat as well again tomorrow, you can sleep late the next morning before going to the office. Christmas comes but once a year, lad, and tomorrow you'll eat a fine plump goose.
What's the matter, Scrooge? Your color has paled.
Nothing in particular.
But there is something, I think.
No, it's just that I should like to be able to say something to my clerk just now. That's all.
There is yet another Christmas past you must look upon, Ebenezer Scrooge. There you see yourself as a young but grown man. You are now in business for yourself. You have just come to see a certain young lady to wish her a happy Christmas Eve. She was, I believe, your sweetheart. You arrive at her home and find her dressed in black. You speak.
Black. Your dress. Everything. You're wearing mourning. Why?
For our love, Ebenezer. I wear black mourning not only in my clothes, but also in my heart, and I wear it for our dead love. Another idol has replaced me in your heart.
What idol has replaced you?
I think she is called greed, or perhaps more simply, money. You have grown to love her more than you do me, and she has made you cruel, Ebenezer. That cruelty, that disregard for others shows even now in the squinting, shifting of your eyes and the hard lines settling around your mouth.
What nonsense. The making of money is the most important thing in the world. It's the very way of the world itself.
And there you yourself have said exactly what I said just now about you. Goodbye, Ebenezer. I would rather not see you again. But I wish you a Christmas in the future more happy than the one you could possibly enjoy, thinking the thoughts you have just uttered.
Spirit, show me no more. Take me back. Haunt me no more.
Very well, Ebenezer Scrooge. But remember, 2 more spirits come. Heed what they show. By the time I finish speaking, you will be whole.
I have been dreaming. Ghosts? Humbug. It was... Clock. Is only 1 hour passed since the other came at midnight? Other? There will be no more ghosts, Ebenezer. You imagined it all. You dreamed it. Oh, there. Another spirit. A second ghost did come. Who are you, spirit?
I am the ghost of Christmas present. No, wait, Ebenezer Scrooge. Do not turn away. Look at me.
But you're gigantic.
Should he who is born each year not be gigantic when he has been born to represent the Christmas of that year? Come, Ebenezer. I have things to show to you.
I've seen enough, spirit. Leave me alone. You are
a humbug, Scrooge. I think not. And I think you know that I am not. There are 3 scenes which you must see. Look into your candle. Each will appear in turn in its flame. Yes, a humble farmhouse, a small farmhouse which is even a trifle broken down. But inside its kitchen, the table is groaning with the weight of a delicious Christmas dinner, and crowding round that table is a happy family, eagerly preparing to share the treats the table holds. There is laughter and joy in that house. These people help me. Yes, these people share, whether they live in humble farms or stately houses, in hovels or in palaces, when the special day of Christmas comes. They might even be in poor houses. Oh, when I remember, Scrooge, you have wished that all who are in need might be in poor houses or die.
Spirit, you use my words against me.
Shall I show you a poorhouse at Christmas, Scrooge?
Spirit, spare me.
Oh, I shall, Ebenezer Scrooge. I shall, because I can show you only 2 more scenes. And these are scenes of people whom you do know. Look into the flames of the candle.
I see my nephew.
Yes, and his lovely wife, whom you, Ebenezer Scrooge, have never troubled yourself to meet. Notice there's a large goose. It was bought for your visit. Your nephew could ill afford to buy that big a bird if it had not been for your eating of dinner with he and his wife.
What was he trying to do, impress me? Thinking of inheriting my money when I die?
Oh, quite wrong you are, Scrooge.
Listen as he and his wife converse.
I still remember the chill in my uncle's voice as he said it. Humbug! That's what he calls Christmas, my dear. And just look how merry this Christmas has been for us.
Yes, Fred, but this goose is such a big one. If he had been here...
She looks and sounds like the girl you might have wed, Ebenezer, doesn't she?
She does.
Watch and listen more.
Uncle's really a comical old fellow. Such ideas he has. But he's certainly not too pleasant. Christmas a humbug. Oh, my love. He's drying himself into a bitter old raisin or prune. But his offenses will carry their own punishment with them, so I won't say anything against him.
But he's so wealthy. Why does he act that way?
See? See? She thinks me rich. My nephew wants my money when I die.
You think so, Ebenezer Scrooge? Then listen.
What if he is wealthy? His wealth is of no use to him. He doesn't enjoy it. Darling, I'm truly sorry for him. I know that not a penny will come to us when he dies, but I don't care about his money. You and I will be all right. But old Uncle Ebenezer cannot and never has enjoyed his own money. Do I suffer by his nasty whims? No, he hurts himself by them. Yes, and I guess he hurts others, like that clerk of his, Bob Cratchit. But I bear him no ill feeling. I just wish he could be here with us today. In fact, poor old man, since he can't be here today, I think I'll just pour a glass of cider and toast him.
Well, by all means, darling. Have your toast, and I'll join you in it in the spirit of Christmas. But just you leave enough room for a hearty meal.
To Uncle Scrooge!
To Uncle Scrooge.
He did want me. My nephew did really want me to come to Christmas dinner.
But wait. The money. My money. He was still thinking he would be my heir.
The money? Oh, Ebenezer Scrooge. How little you think. You heard what he said about it. Money, money, money. So many people think so many different things about it. I and the candle flame will show you another scene. Money, Scrooge. Watch as we visit the home of your clerk, Bob Cratchit, on this very Christmas. Oh, no, not yet on Christmas Day. This was last night after Bob left your office.
Bob, you're home almost early.
Yes, my love, and with a fine fat goose. Mr. Scrooge let me go right on the dot of the closing hour for a change.
A goose? But how? Bob, how can we ever stand the expense?
Oh, we'll manage it, my love. It's for you and the children. And I might add, for their father. This is a special time, dear. It's Christmas.
A goose. Bob, darling, it's been so long since... Hush now. Here comes Tiny Tim.
Why, it's a boy of perhaps 16. And he's crippled. He walks with the aid of crutches. Oh, he's terribly frail. But there's a bright look in his eyes.
That's the son of Bob Cratchit. He's called Tiny Tim because he's so small for his age and because he's so frail. Your clerk, Cratchit, has a daughter too, Martha. She's just a bit younger than Tim, but she, like Mrs. Cratchit, is almost like a mother to the poor crippled lad. Watch the candle flame, Scrooge, and listen.
Well now, Tim, how goes it? How's the leg?
Oh, it's painful today, Father, cause of the cold, but it doesn't seem as painful as usual, sir. I don't know why, unless it's cause it's Christmas Eve.
Right you are, Tim. Christmas does do something for us, doesn't it? Lifts our spirits, even mends our ills a bit. Look here, lad. See this fine bird? That's your dinner for tomorrow, your Christmas dinner.
Is it a goose, sir?
Yes, love, it's a goose. And you've never eaten one, have you? But leave it to your father. He does provide.
Provide? And on 15 shillings a week.
Yes, Scrooge, the meager 15 shillings a week you give him.
But that boy, Tiny Tim, so ill. I never knew. And except that he is so small and so crippled, his face might have been my own face when I was a boy.
Yes, Ebenezer Scrooge, your own face when you were a boy. But is it the sad face of the lonely boy who sat by himself in that schoolhouse, awaiting the coming of Aladdin, Robinson Crusoe, and his other storybook friends? Or is that face you see in Tiny Tim the face of the happy young Ebenezer Scrooge who danced at Mr. Fezziwig's Christmas party and ate himself round and full and slept late the next day?
I see both sadness and happiness, both of the boys I was, in the face of Tiny Tim.
Then watch the candle, Scrooge.
Do you know, Tiny Tim, that besides your goose, you're going to eat something else special tomorrow?
What, sir?
Plum pudding, Tim. Rich, pungent, juicy plum pudding.
Oh, Bob, the expense.
Hush, dear. Well, now, Tim, have you had your medicine yet?
No, sir.
His sister will give it to him, Bob. Martha!
Yes, Mom?
Martha, it's time for Tiny Tim's medicine. Will you get it for him?
Yes, Mom. Send him along. Come on, Timmy.
Coming, Martha. I'll go along now, Father, but before I do, the goose, the plum pudding, this really will be a Christmas. Thank you, sir. A real Christmas. God bless us, everyone.
Right you are, lad. God bless us, everyone.
Timmy, are you coming?
Yes, Martha.
How bad? How much pain did he have today, Martha?
I don't know, Bob. I think a little more than usual. But he tries not to show it. He joked with me this morning. He said he'd caught a fever. The fever of the spirit of this Christmas.
Well, we'll make this Christmas mean all it can to him. Yes, Martha, dearest, all it can. Come now, my love. Don't let me see those tears. It's Christmas. It's the season to be jolly. And if we're going to have that goose ready for oven early tomorrow morning, I'd better start plucking its feathers right now.
Spirit, that child, tell me if Tiny Tim will live.
Ebenezer Scrooge, I look into the future to the next Christmas, and I see the seat of Tiny Tim vacant at the table, and I see his crutches without an owner, carefully preserved by his saddened family. If the shadows that I see remain unaltered by the future, the boy will be dead by next Christmas.
No, no. Oh, no, kindly spirit. Say he will be spared.
I have told you, if the shadows that I see remain unaltered by the future, the boy will die. But if he dies, what do you, Ebenezer Scrooge, care? If the poor did not go to the poorhouses, did you not say that they should die and decrease the population? Who are you, Scrooge, to choose that Tiny Tim or anyone should live to increase and others die to decrease the population? Are not all men equally important in matters of life and of death?
Cratchit must hate me.
In many ways, Cratchit does hate you. But out of pity for you and your ways, he and Mrs. Cratchit will actually toast your health before this Christmas is over. The toast will not be a warm one, but it will be in the spirit of the season, a toast of forgiveness.
Forgiveness?
Scrooge, I must leave you. Another spirit comes at the next stroke of the clock. He is the ghost of future Christmases. Heed him well. Goodbye. Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! He's gone. You're here. I stand, I presume, before the ghost of Christmas yet to come. Spirit, you do not speak. Please speak. Ghost of the future, I fear you more than the others who have come. But I know that your purpose is to do me good, and as I hope to live to be a much different man from the man that I was, I beg you to lead me out into the dread night and the dread scenes I perhaps must see. The night is passing fast, and time is precious to me, I know now.
You have learned much, then. Come then, Ebenezer Scrooge, travel with me. No, you're weary. The candle flame will do. Look into it again. You will again see 3 scenes, but now scenes of the Christmas 1 year from now. There, watch. 2 men meet in a street. 2 merchants who converse. They're both good London merchants, though one is Scots and one is Welsh.
Welsh? Like Mr. Fezziwig?
Yes, like Mr. Fezziwig. Long ago. Your long ago. Listen.
I hear old Scrooge died yesterday on Christmas Day.
I don't know much about it. I only know he's dead.
Well, I thought that dried-up crab would never die. What happens to his money?
Who knows? He wouldn't have left it to anyone. He's too mean, that one. Probably the will even provided for the cheapest of funerals.
Aye, he was the tight-fisted one, wasn't he? I'd say good riddance to him if I didn't feel I'd blaspheme this Christmas Day.
Well, don't blaspheme the day by saying it. But I must get on home. Much as I like to gossip about that old Scrooge, I have a Christmas party that I must host.
And I too have one at home. Goodbye. Merry Christmas.
Aye, Merry Christmas. I have learned this lesson. Spirit, may we move on?
Yes, Scrooge. Let us visit the home of Bob Cratchit, as it will be next Christmas.
Mother, Father seems late in coming home from the cemetery.
He is, Martha. But remember, your father is not as well a man as he was since Tiny Tim died. This is a sadder Christmas than the last one we celebrated.
Hush, Mother. The door. It's Father.
Bob, you're all right?
Yes.
How does the grave look, dear?
Oh, there are patches of snow where it hasn't melted. But in the places where the snow is gone, the grass is still green. It will look better when we can afford to get a stone for the grave.
And we'll plant flowers there in the spring.
Yes, and it might be we'll have a few left over for the grave of Mr. Scrooge. That cemetery where they say he's going to be buried is a mean, barren one. He'll be buried tomorrow.
The grave of Mr. Scrooge? Are you out of your head, Bob Cratchit? He was so mean to you when alive, and you speak of planting flowers.
Well, my dear, who else would? Except maybe his nephew.
Our second scene has ended, Scrooge. Our third begins.
Go on, Spirit. I'm ready. I have learned much.
Fred, you're late. Christmas dinner is almost ready.
Sorry, darling. I stopped at the lawyer's house to see if I could do anything about Uncle Scrooge. Cemetery he chose for his own burial plot is such a dismal place. If only we had the money, I'd move it to...
Fred, he could have provided for that while he was alive. It's no concern of yours.
Well, maybe we'll plant some flowers on the plot this spring.
On his grave?
Who else will, my dear? Only someone like that Bob Cratchit, his old clerk. Poor, sentimental Cratchit. He'd do that sort of thing. Plant flowers. Especially since his own boy, that young Tiny Tim of his, died. He's a broken man, that Cratchit.
Answer me one question. Are these things you have shown me the scenes and shadows of the things that will be, or only those of the things that may be?
Men set certain courses in their lives which, if followed, lead to certain ends. But if a man departs a course, an evil, wrong course, the end will change.
Then, Spirit, if you were sent for my good, intercede for me. Assure me that I might yet change the scenes you have shown me of the Christmases to come. Change them by altering my life. I will honor the Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all through the year. I will live in the past, the present, and the future. The spirit of all three of you ghosts and the warning of the ghost of Marley will live and strive within me. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach. But if I myself may not be spared, Spirit, please, Tiny Tim must not die.
Clasp my hand, Ebenezer Scrooge!
The moment that Scrooge clasped the hand of the ghost of Christmas future, he was back in his room. In exhaustion, he gripped the post of his bed. But it was his own bedpost. The room was his own, and the spirits were gone. And suddenly, all the cold that had existed in him all the years that Ebenezer Scrooge had been a man was replaced by a warm glow, kindled in his heart. The time remaining to him in his life now was his own in which to make amends. Joyously, he cried out,
I will live in the past, the present, and the future, and with the spirit of Christmas always in my heart. Oh, Jacob Marley, peace to your soul, and to you, the three spirits of Christmas, the blessings of my eternal gratitude. Scrooge, what has got into you? You're as light as a feather. You're as happy as an angel. You're as merry as a schoolboy. Merry Christmas, everyone! And a Happy New Year to all! Bells. Sure, bells. Could it be? The window shutters. Open them, Scrooge. Could it be that it still is? Oh, that boy passing in the street. Boy! You there! Yes, tell me, lad, what day is this? Why, it's Christmas Day, sir. Why, bless me. The spirits did not let me sleep through it. God bless you and every man alive, Scrooge. God bless you and Merry Christmas. Look, my fine young lad, will you run an errand for me?
Oh, yes, sir.
You know the poultry shop up the street? That way, over there.
Yes, sir.
Intelligent lad, a remarkable lad. Have they that prize goose yet that they had in the window?
The one as big as me, sir.
That's the one! What a delightful boy. It's a pleasure to talk to him. That's the one. Will you go and buy it for me? And deliver it to someone for me? I'll toss down the money to you and a note with the address, and there's a half-crown in it for you. Half-crown? I'll make it a whole pound note.
A whole pound, sir? Oh, yes, sir, I'll do it, sure.
1 second, lad. I'll fetch the money. Let's see. Your money? Of course, the money. Now, quick, scribble the address. Bob Cratchit, Cheapside. Here you are, lad. The pound for you. The address, and more than enough money for the goose. If there's change from it, you just keep it. Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, sir! I'm on my way!
And, sure enough, the boy was at our house an hour later with that goose, which wasn't a goose as big as the boy himself, but it was almost larger than Tiny Tim. We didn't know who sent it then, but we cooked it, and each of us stuffed himself and thanked our unknown benefactor. Meanwhile, Mr. Scrooge dressed himself more gaily than he had since the days of his youth, and sauntered off to have that Christmas dinner that just yesterday he had refused to have with his nephew and his nephew's wife. Along the way, he met the very two merchants who, in his dream, had heard of his death.
Good morning, gentlemen. A very Merry Christmas to you.
A Merry Christmas?
From you, Ebenezer Scrooge?
Yes, a Merry Christmas. And a Happy New Year, too. But then, we do have a whole year ahead of us, at least to make the last wish come true. Pardon me, gentlemen, I'm rushing. My nephew and his wife have invited me for dinner. Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! Was that the Ebenezer Scrooge I saw only last week?
It seems a different one. Oh, maybe miracles do happen at Christmas time.
And Mr. Scrooge arrived at his nephew's house and knocked. His nephew opened the door and gaped to see his uncle standing on the step.
Uncle?
Merry Christmas, nephew! I'm still welcome for dinner?
Why, most assuredly. Darling, it's Uncle Ebenezer come to call.
Uncle
Pretty is a picture, too. I should have come along to meet you before this young lady. Pretty as a girl I once knew. But it's cold here. May I come in?
Oh, please.
Well, of course, Uncle.
Well, this will be the merriest of Christmases I've ever had.
Mr. Scrooge enjoyed himself enormously with his nephew and newfound niece. And then, my turn came. He purposely got to the office next morning early, almost as if to trap me if I were to arrive late. As it happened, I did.
Cratchit! What do you mean by coming in half an hour late?
Sorry, sir. I am behind my time.
Step this way, please.
It was our Christmas celebration. It's only once a year, sir. I'll make it up to you.
Yes, it is only once a year. Now, I'll tell you what, young man. I can't stand for that situation anymore. So, I'm raising your salary from 15 to 30 shillings a week.
Mr. Scrooge!
A Merry Christmas, Bob Cratchit. The wish is a day late, but then, should the spirit of Christmas only exist on one day, Bob, I'll give you a merrier Christmas all year long than I've given you on many a single Christmas day for too many years past. I'll raise your salary, and then this afternoon we'll lunch together. I want to talk to you about getting a proper doctor for that young Tiny Tim of yours.
Tiny Tim?
Yes, Tiny Tim. Don't ask now, Bob, how I know about this. I just do. Now, young man, your first task this morning is to build a nice roasting fire in that stone there. And after that, I want you to order more coal. A lot of it. Now, hop to it, Bob.
Yes, sir! Mr. Scrooge was as good as his word, and better. He did raise my salary, and through his aid, Tiny Tim did not die. In fact, he, Mr. Scrooge, began visiting our home often, and soon he became like a grandfather to young Tim, who adored the old gentleman. Mr. Scrooge became as good a friend, as fine an employer, as honest a businessman as any that existed in all the land. Some people laughed to see the change in him from a miser who grasped each penny to a man who would give a beggar in the street a gold piece. But Mr. Scrooge didn't mind. His own heart laughed. But it laughed with a happiness he had not known for years, perhaps in all his years before. And that was enough for him. The next Christmas, and for many more to come, he had Christmas dinner with us, and with his nephew and niece in attendance too. And then it was he and Tiny Tim who said together what Tiny Tim had said when he saw his first Christmas goose.
God bless us, everyone.
God bless us, everyone.
Yes, God bless us, everyone.